All right. And I also think it's kind of cool how you guys can still see my screen even though it's on the browser, like the TradingView app and everything. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, same thing, man. Thought I'd hop on here and do some studying. I was gonna do it by myself because I was like, other people will be celebrating 4th of July, but it's a little bit early, so I think people, unless there's some kind of festival or something. I guess not all of the world celebrates it either. Yeah, what's 4th of July? That's our American. It's an American holiday where we start a bunch of forest fires all over the country and make a bunch of noise and fuck a bunch of shit up for no reason. I think in Oregon we have so much force that it should be illegal to do fireworks because every year, like right after now, the whole state's gonna be on fire now for pretty much the rest of the summer. Me too, bro. I like that reason. I'm thinking the same thing, bro. Yeah. Dude, I fat fingered in that funded account on Thursday night. I had set that alert for wherever it was. I think it was wherever I'd set that alert at that we were talking about. Um yeah, maybe right here or something like that. I set that alert and it triggered, so I went in to go short on gold and I thought I was on the micros contract, but I wasn't, and I went in full six short on the full gold. It instantaneously blew it, like instantly. I couldn't even, and because their mobile app is so shit, um, it was yeah, just instantaneously. Yeah, it sucks, but I was so mad, so mad at myself, and it even reversed. That was the high of the session too, which makes me even sicker. Um, yeah, that's where my alert went off. Right there at that halfback area. It was the highest session too. So that sucks. No, it was a funded account. Yeah, I wouldn't be saying anything if it was a eval. Yeah, funded account. Yeah. It's obviously like at first I was blaming it pure on TradingView. I was like, it's TradingView's fault, but then it's really my fault at the end of the day. It's easy for us, especially me. Yeah, it's easy for me. I'll just like go into like straight blame everybody but myself type shit real quick. I have to catch myself. All right, so let's go MNQ while we're studying because you really can't, you know, enter in on regular size contracts these days. With ES we can. All right, so not a bad trading week. It's some decent price action, I think. Kind of we're in a range, obviously, but definitely I think there'll be some stuff to study for sure. We had our trend date down was Thursday. We also had multiple trend days up, kind of like really pretty decent. You had that day was really good up, that day is down. Beginning of the week was a little bit tough though. Tuesday, Wednesday, but still the ranges are pretty clear. Definitely, me personally, I did not have like the best trading week I've ever had. So time to lock back in. How'd you guys do? Who's all here? All right, some people here. How'd you do? Reasons? Gone ticking. Mike, Milligan. Okay. I'm ready. You got a new funded account locked up and ready to go? Blue and eval went on tilt. Yeah, been there many times. Trying to change the brightness of this. Give me 1 second. It's like it's too bright. There we go. Okay. Let me make a couple adjustments here to a couple things. Turn the bid-ask line off. Okay, that's way better. I want to have it so you guys can see what the time frame is in asset without having to ask. And then make the font a little bit smaller here, and then we'll get into it. It's about the same. All right, so we're just gonna go. I want to try doing a little bit differently this week. So I kind of want to start out by we'll just go back in time and then like not look forward and then look for what would be a good setup and then kind of study that way. And then it's more of like a learning experience that way instead of like a cherry picking kind of you know what I'm saying? It's more of a like a practice rather than a study, right? Okay, so we'll just go back and then, you know, the moves that happen, we'll obviously have some idea of them, but not much. Okay, so we'll start out on Sunday night on the 26th. Okay. So when we look at price where we started out here, Sunday night, Monday was like a really big down day. Sunday night we had opened up. Let me get to where we're open. Yeah, that's where we had opened up at right there. And if we kind of look at this opening here, right, that's the right day, right? I think I'm too far back. Yeah, I'm a week too far back. Hold on. So that was Tuesday, Wednesday. Right? Am I tripping? Yeah, June 29th was the Monday. Yeah, so we're on the 24th right now. Yeah, there it is. Okay, maybe it's just a little bit darker on those, a little bit too much. Yeah, so this is Sunday night here. Okay, so Sunday night we open up with almost identical chart here. Like there's no cracks in correlation there I can really see. But this is a good example, I think, of when we are looking at a price range and there's nothing left to redeliver. Like there's nowhere, like this is the last area to redeliver lower. So when you finally get to where everything's been redelivered, like especially lower, this is when you get these kind of like big pops. And this is also and so that would be, no, it's not, it isn't it? It's a like, so that high didn't lead to a break of that low, so, but it did on ES. So for ES, this is a like a kind of opening into an SIR setup here. Yeah, this is a tricky opening because it just like started geeking up. And then you have a cracking correlation at the low. So something I try to keep in mind is that the cracks in correlation, the behavior on the previous session is still in play, right? So if you like here we have a InQ made a new low here. ES did not take out that low like Nasdaq did. So there's cracking correlation. And then this is a everything's been redelivered within the range lower. And for ES, it had taken out the previous candle's high, the previous strong high, and taken it out. That would be right here. So that makes this an SIR setup. It did go a little bit deeper than 80%, but yeah, so this would have been a good setup if you could get in long before it gets too far away. But I don't think that's the case. I think it kind of just like launches up. Yeah, beautiful, like just savage launch there. Which this is a weird one, right? Because we had news that the war was still on, like they were still bombing each other when everything was supposed to be signed. I kind of would have expected a bearish move, but it's not what happened. I don't think anyone had an opportunity to catch this. It didn't really give anybody that opportunity. It just kind of, as soon as it opened up, it just went crazy. Okay, let's so what I want to do here is like look at balance areas ahead of time, kind of outline them, and then move from there instead of like hindsight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that first little pullback there. Yeah. Okay, so right here we have a cracking correlation. Nasdaq did not take out the high. ES did. Kind of curious why ES rejected this area. Now let's see if it half back that doji. Maybe that's what was. No, it already did that earlier. So that's kind of a weird weird rejection there. Okay, so right here we have a cracking correlation. Let's see if ES respects this balance area here. So now that's that low right here. That's that low. Didn't respect it all. So then right here we have a SMC soup situation. 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I can't see my stupid things in the way. Okay, so there's like the trigger on the SMC soup there. I don't know what happens here. I would take it though. 7. And yeah, that's definitely a cracking correlation. Perfect double bottom. So then you go along there. You could have took it on Nasdaq or ES. And I don't know what's gonna happen here, guys. Like, I mean, I'm just guessing, right? I don't remember exactly what happened every day of the week. Okay, so that's why I should scale out. Okay, let's redo that and then make sure we scale out so we don't get absolutely blasted on there. Okay, so this time we're only risking 2 points. And then we just profited 7. It's kind of interesting spot for it to reverse there. Just redelivered right into that doji there. Beautiful halfback. Okay, so now you got to be wondering, like, what are the chances that it's going to redeliver this the rest of the way? I think if I remember right, it does. So ES is just kind of like stalling out there. Definitely good to note. It redelivered to that high there just about, and then it's kind of stalling. So right here we have a low time frame SIR set up short. You got the half back, a little higher time frame half back. Then you get the 70 to 80% retracement right here. I would take this. Especially with it needing to still redeliver lower. But you have this area up here and maybe a higher time frame SIR trying to play out or something. Okay. So right there, it breaks that strong high. I'll definitely get out of that. Okay, doing it this way is going to take like forever. It'll take like a long time. So let's go to a higher time frame so it doesn't take, because if we do it on 3 minutes, it's just going to take too long. Okay. All right, we have this big ass balance area here. No, definitely if it rejects the half back, I would have took this. Kind of overshot it there, right? All right, I think it's actually pretty decent. Like looking at it here, looks pretty decent. Let me size down here. So I can withstand the possible stop out that might happen. All right, so this is a really good. We'll see how far this goes down, but I think this is pretty, at the opening here is pretty A++. Yeah, move down is pretty savage. Okay, so I was trying to move my stop up to avoid was this right here. I just didn't give enough room. So this is a really interesting setup here right at the opening, because we have that 10-minute weird looking balance area there, and then this very last kind of like doji up there. From all the way from Thursday at the previous Asia session. And then we have a broadening formation at the opening here. So this would have been, I think this short here would have been pretty decent. Let's see if there's a crack in correlation with it. Yeah, which there was, because this Asia session, no, they both took that one out. the 25th. Yeah, so Nasdaq did not take out this Asia session high, and ES obviously did right there. And you got ES doing some crazy shit there. Yeah, so if you had caught this move down, I mean, it's a pretty big money there. You'd have to risk a lot on it though, like once it redelivers. Stops one time framing. So you'd have to risk the half back, a little bit above the half back there. I feel like we caught this on stream. I don't remember though, but I feel like we did. And then this long here is also not too shabby there either. So I've been noticing, have you guys been noticing that these bigger moves are kind of seem to be playing out not right at the opening, like, but they're happening, you know, like 10 to 10, 4 to 11, somewhere in that area there. It's you're getting like these bigger kind of reversals down. Yeah, still one time framing. It's kind of like, all right, let's see where it would have been targeting here. So I would have thought either there or down there. 5 micros is 3K. Isn't that crazy? It's such huge range there. The one time frame's the whole fucking way. It's pretty dope. And then this first pullback of that move up there on ES is probably what I'd be looking at. You accidentally moved that or something. Oh, was that doji? It was the 10-minute doji. There's almost the end of one time frame. It's half back. If it's not there, then it's probably, I would think, if it doesn't stop here at the low of that doji, at the very low. But I'm pretty sure it's right here is where it's trying to redeliver. Right into like maybe that last little area there. And that's such a crazy move. At one time frame down the whole way too. There's the half back of it. That's fucking sick. That's an amazing trade. It's also the gap fill on ES. That's the gap fill on ES right there, just about. Yeah, so this is definitely an A+ setup here. The gap fill definitely helps. Because if we switch to something you guys should do too is when you're in a trade during regular trading hours, just switch to the regular trading hours and see, like, are you in a gap or is it in a gap? I remember this one on stream now. So you see the gap fill there. Finally, all the time frames will show up. That's very nice. I kind of feel like I remember this. I'm pretty sure it continuously here a little bit lower. All right, still on time framing down the whole way. Huge, absolutely huge move. Redelivery set up there with the Kraken correlation. All right, gaps have been filled. Balance has been redelivered to and overshot. All right, there, one redelivery ends right there. So definitely A plus setup here. Very clean. So this is like a gap day. This day is really based on gaps a lot. So we had a gap down from Thursday to Friday of the previous week. So it came up, filled that gap in from that day by redelivering here, filled that gap in. And then there's another gap in that same area from a previous day. So you had 1, 2, 3 gaps in the same area, kind of crazy. So this would be like I would call this like a gap fill setup with the redelivery. Now I don't really see any reason to scale out there. It never stopped. Maybe like in this area here, but even on the lower time frames in the beginning, I don't think it ever even stopped. If I remember right, yeah. So it just started one time framing the whole way. So I wouldn't have scaled out until probably right in that area there. I've been trying to do that and trying to follow that. Like if it starts one time framing on a 15-second, before it gets to 1.3R, then I'll just let it continue until it ends, just to get some more profit out of it. So we have, it's a redelivery. We obviously had the half back to balance, then we had the redelivery, and then we have a CIC, Kraken correlation. Then the gap, the RTH gap fill. Let's see why ES reversed here though. So I think ES was backfilling this gap here. Yeah, so that's a good example of my so it's also a GTR gap. This is a gap rebalance trade. So it's a lot of things kind of stacking up there. It's a new hourly candle, so you had like these things kind of going. Are you basing the scale out on the 1.3 area, or So over one, as long as it's over 1.3, I'm kind of experimenting with different variations of it, but it has to be at least 1.3. Which sometimes it sucks because sometimes I could scale out and I don't, and even if it's like one R, I'm always like, ugh, I gotta wait though, because I do believe that if you do it too early, it does more harm. Previous highs and lows are not somewhere where price is just gonna bounce because it went there. But yeah, so once it gets to 1.3, I would then what I did in this situation is I wouldn't have scaled out because so what I've been doing, so once it hits 1.3, if it's one time framing on a 15-second, like so here, I'll just show you. Hold on, let me screenshot this and I'll show you. It'll be easier just to show instead of 54 a.m. So the target's the same day. Okay, yeah, like pretty clean. And I got a bunch of these now, like from our study sessions. I have like, we've been doing this for three months straight now, I think, just about every Saturday. Okay, so the way I would have done this, let me start this over here. All right, so then finally we get the touch there, and then one time framing ends. Enter short there, put stop above there. And then really my mental stop where I'm actually would exit this is just above the half back there. Just above the half back area. That would be like where I would actually get out, but I always put my stop just a little bit above it so I can have a chance to save it. So then like once I'm in the trade, switch to a 15-second, be like, is it one time framing? Once it gets to here, I'd ask myself that, like, is it one time framing on the 15-second? All right, so we're 1.3 R there, right? So at this point, that's when I would be like, okay, I'm gonna stay in the trade as long as the one time framing continues. The goal is to see it fill the gap, but we don't know, right? It could reverse before that. So if one time framing ends on the 15-second, I will take half the contracts off. That way I squeeze the most profit out of the trade. I was thinking like having a dynamic, so that the final exit's very dynamic, right? And which allows us to squeeze profits. I was thinking like, is there a way I can do this on the scale out as well, to get more profits, without giving back. The only problem is sometimes it isn't one time framing, and then I just would, if it's not one time framing on like a lower time frame, then I would obviously just exit at 1.3. It's still one time framing. All right, right there it ends. So there I would take off half, which got me an extra. Whew, that's a big difference. So almost an extra 2R out of that. So it's a pretty big difference. And then obviously I'd probably just switch back to the 1 minute and then stay in it as long as the one time frame doesn't end on the 1 minute, which it never did. And then there's the gap fill, but I wouldn't set a limit order there because it could go lower. I remember this trade on stream. And then there it is. Yeah, so huge trade there. A 9R trade, just about 8.6. Yeah, 8.63R. That's really good. Okay, and then now you have opportunity to go long here too, because the gap's been filled. Let's drop down here and see if we can't trade this here. Okay, so where's our last strong high? You could say it's here. As it broke there, and then you could have like caught that little low time frame SIR. I think that's kind of high risk though. Depends on how much you believe. Like, is there anything lower that needs to be redelivered within range? I would probably just wait for a little bit higher time frame one, but I don't think it gives it. I think it just like geeks up. But that is a low time frame strong high there that clearly got broken and clearly had an 80% retracement. It's just a low time frame, so. But I think if we look at the previous strong highs, like, are the previous low time frame strong highs holding or getting violated? And they held the whole way down. Not a single one of them broke. So all those strong highs held there. So I think that this is, it's reasonable to, I mean, high risk, but maybe not like the best win rate in the world. But I think it is worth putting the risk on. So we have our strong high break there. So that's the SIR setup here. Your strong high break. And then we also have redelivery here, really pretty, beautiful redelivery. The only thing what seems like we're missing here is a cracking correlation. which I think there is one on the lower time frame to the left. We'll check that out after I enter here. So I would enter in here, risking to the low, 24 points. So you go 24 times the point value, which is 2, goes $48 of risk per contract. So 250 divided by risk per contract. So that means I could trade 5 to 6 contracts. I don't remember what happens here. It could just drop right back down. I don't remember. All right, so starting to 1 time frame on a 15 seconds. All right, I would definitely scale out there. Let's check and make sure it is within our right to do so. No, it's not. So yeah, it's oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, blonde moment there. Yeah, so we're at right there. We're at 2.8 R. So we could definitely scale out there. So we just had a cracking correlation. Like this isn't looking good for this setup here. So okay, so then we get back above the strong high. This would be our like first area of resistance here, that doji, and then also this balance area. Beautiful 50% retracement. That would have been a good add-on area there for sure. Boom. V-shaped recovery type shit. And then here's like a little bit higher time frame SIR setup. So that would have been your strong high on like a 1 minute. And then that would have been like your V-shaped recovery type entry there with the 50% retracement. I think it's 50%. I assume it's 50%. Yeah, it is. So that would have been like a little bit lower risk, higher odds trade there for sure. Yeah, exactly. They ain't about that money, bro. They ain't about that money, dude. I am. Yeah, exactly. They can go get drunk and fucking do all that shit. I spent plenty of time doing that, man. I want $1 million months, dude. $1 million weeks. The only way to do that is to put in the work to get it. Yeah, still on time framing. Now we're coming into another area of possible resistance. So on Monday we had caught the move down. This move down, but didn't trade it back up. So something I could have done, just traded it back up. All right, still on time framing, just cooking. Boom, huge trade. So we banked 450 on the scale out plus what we have going here, and then right there, the 1 time framing ends. I think we'll see, but we have this balance area right here, so I would be like, let's see if this balance area holds here. If it does, like it did there, I would just add into that bitch. It's gonna do a second leg down, watch. Yeah, so this week, pretty much every retracement had 2 legs down. It's kind of interesting. I kept seeing that over and over again. So now our last target here would be here. Boom, there it is. So that's what I call trading to and fro, right? It's a to and fro setup there. We had the gap fill down trade, and then once it's filled, we get the low time frame SIR setup. Huge from our original entry there. Fucking amazing. Yeah, look, original entry is right there. So we're talking. Damn. So you had a 8R trade down and a 13R trade up. That's pretty nutty. But very possible. Like both these setups are pretty A plus and pretty clean. But it could keep going here, so let's see. Still one time framing up here. I would definitely scale out there for sure. But ES hasn't, I don't know. I don't know what I would do here. I'd probably see what it does with this balance area and see if it holds here. And if it doesn't, then get out. Second leg pullback. Probably another add-on there. And then we have a cracking correlation right there. I think it just went half back into this area. Not quite. Let's see what happens here. Tricky shit right there. Oh, there's the balance area redelivery. ES still ain't having it. I would exit as soon as it quits one time framing here. Yeah, right there, I'd be out. Huge trade though, up and down. Really fucking good. What looks like the 2022 model? What does? Oh, the breakout structure and the fair value gap retracement. Yeah. Except we look at structure differently, and we look at we don't use fair value gaps for entry. But yeah, same kind of like market structure, yeah. And then it looks like I think it keeps going here if I remember right. I can't remember. Yeah, so absolutely huge trade there though. I mean, we're talking with the add-ons, you're talking 15R trade. So with the profit here, you got 2,600, then plus another 1,000, so 3,800 with micros. Pretty solid shit, and that's not even counting the move down. Move down was about the same, so one day that's like a easily $6,000 day. It's pretty nutty. Any questions on the setups there, guys? Yeah, and there's your cracking correlation there. I think. Yeah. So there's even a cracking correlation right there. Now ES didn't get down there. ES just strictly filled the gap and then redelivered. So then you had the V-shaped recovery type SIR setup there with the strong high break. in the 50% retracement. It's pretty standard for V-shaped recovery trades. You only get 50%. I think it's set to crypto 585 for 50%. And you get a second entry here, which would have been I don't know, kind of tough because it didn't really retrace that deep. And then it follows the trend, I think, for quite some time here. And then the next area would be the gap rebalance there, backfill. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, and then the other gap up there too as well. There's this gap all the way up there. So yeah, Monday was all about gaps. Like, if you didn't have them on your chart, you were probably lost. If you did, you could have cleaned up big time. Oh, that's Asia session right there. Oh no, that was Asia session. All right, and then Tuesday was the day that fucked me up. Because remember, I'd gotten a payout every day since Wednesday of the previous week. I'd gotten a payout every day. And yeah, Tuesday fucked me up. Tuesday's the day that caught me. And I broke all my rules. That was this day here. No, Tuesday's Monday night, I went into drawdown in my funded account for the first time, and then blew it up overnight. I think that's how it went. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. Something like that. Yeah, and then I took Thursday off, yeah. Yeah, and then Tuesday I broke all my rules. All of them. Ignored everything that I could have. Every rule I've ever created, I ignored it. So, pretty wild. Yeah, so I was looking at my win rate coming into that day was super high. It's almost like some like, I don't know, some like conspiracy type shit, dude. Like my win rate was really high and needed to be balanced back into its normal range. I don't fucking know, but it's like some weird type shit, dude. Yeah, because this was a pretty clear trade here. Really beautiful setup that I just completely ignored and got punished for doing. So right here we had redelivered everything within the range here. Had been redelivered. We take out a strong high right here. Right? So strong low, where is it at? Yeah, we take out a strong low. So the market structure was bearish. But this was like a high time frame SIR setup here. Redelivery completed. We even had a cracking correlation there. Yeah, so we had a cracking correlation. There was no reason, and I even went long right here, and then I switched short. But I should have just stayed long because it was a clear bullish setup there. We had the cracking correlation before the opening. Everything had been redelivered. There wasn't anywhere else to redeliver lower. It all been redelivered. This was just simply a pullback for a long trade is all it was. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful 80% retracement. And then that, remember, this was that Asia session where we had respected the spike, the end of day spike there. We had respected that. So expecting this low to break here on this, it's probably unlikely. This happened the next session most likely. We had clear gaps above and balance areas. Yeah, it was just a really, really good setup. So let's go through that, how we could have entered it and everything. Okay. Okay, so right here, we have a cracking correlation. ES doesn't take that low, Nasdaq does. It had redelivered down to this last doji, like to the tick. There's nowhere else for it to redeliver lower, which means it's got to break the range, right? Because it's now redelivered everywhere else lower. It already redelivered everything else higher earlier. So now that means that this range is going to, from here, with pretty high odds that the range is going to be broken here. So you got that area. Everything's been redelivered within that, except for this new shit that just brought down. So that tells you that at the very least, it's probably going to come up. And then if it was bearish, that's what it would do. And that's why I went long here to start off the session. But then I switched for some reason. I don't remember what it was that I saw in the moment, but I changed my mind. Maybe it was a broadening formation, something like that. So we open up and it just gets it beautifully. Put that bitch into one time framing mode on a 15-second, scale out when it breaks. So take half off there. And we have a beautiful add-on situation here where you could add into this. If it redelivers down there. Yeah, it's the halfbacks like right at 50%. Yeah, it never really got down there though. And then now it would just be in one time frame mode on a 1 minute. You got the gap fill target up there. The low here would be like, this would be target 1, target 2, and then gap fill all the way. Maybe that 3 and then 4, the gap fill all the way. Really easy trade. Like it's kind of frustrating now. Now that I'm looking at it, because it was like, damn, it was so noticeable. And boom, huge money here. Now this is where you'd be like, did I get out? I mean, if the one time framing does, I would. Can always re-enter the trade. I think that rejection right there was the gap rebalance. No, maybe I'm right. No. And then we have the little baby low time frame balance area, and then obviously that doji is would be add-on areas that probably worth it. First has to break one time framing. There it is. Scale out. Oops. Oh, I had already scaled out earlier. And there's half back to balance. I'm gonna enter in on that. I think that's leg 1 though. Let me check. No, that's leg 2. There's a cracking correlation. That's a SIR short entry there. I think it goes down to there. Or maybe not. ES is popping up there. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, there it goes. Beautiful redelivery there. Right to the high of that wick there. A little bit shallow though. I think let's see if it goes up from here. Seems like it might not. Yeah, so you got long consolidation here. Oh, there it goes. So the SIR trade played out, and then it went up. All right, let's do this right again. Let's get it right this time. Because I mismanaged a fucking a replay trade, which is kind of crazy. All right. And then we get the rejection, I think, off this balance area here, and it pulls back. I'm going to scale out there. Let's look for a 50% retracement here to add into. Voila. And this is kind of interesting because ES was just not having it. ES was like on a different whole different mission here. So right here you're getting a very clean SIR setup on ES. Strong high break right there, low time frame strong high break, and then you're getting the deep ass retracement. Yeah, you got the 70% retracement there. And then boom. And you get the redelivery there. You could add into that. Really choppy, kind of nasty price action on ES though. I would definitely scale out there on ES. Get another 50% retracement on Nasdaq. You know it's got to fill the gap higher. That would have been a long. That is the worst price action there on ES. Like fuck, it would have been really stressful. But you know the gap's higher. The gap needs to be filled. And then we could look for a measured move here, for sure. So we take from that high to that high there. And that should give us our next target. Like it should be up there. So that next area gap fill up there. But it would have been tough because there's a lot of pullbacks in this price action here. It wasn't like it was like just geeked all the way up. You did get a lot of geeking here, but like the pullbacks are deep. So there's target one. Scale out there for sure. And you got half back to balance into that doji. You could re-add there if you wanted to. Then there's your measure move target there just about. Let's see if it hits it. And there's your measure move target. Very clean. Just kind of tough. A lot of choppy kind of, that was a choppy kind of nasty price action there. But I'm not saying I would have held all that, but this is why we're studying price so we can later. And then there's a second target hit there. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, they just love fireworks, dude. It's so stupid. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's maybe un-American for me to say this, but I think it's fucking stupid. Obviously, I liked them when I was a child, but not so much anymore. Okay, so we had a like a big ass. I don't know. It's lagging, but we filled the gap on ES there. But then we have this gap that we gapped up and then rebalance that gap, but we never backfilled this gap yet. Oh no, it had right there, I think. Actually, let me drop it down. Yeah, never mind. It had backfilled it right there. But there's another gap here that hadn't been back. No, it did back. No, that already backfilled that one too. Okay. Let's see where Nasdaq's at. Yeah, I would probably, honestly, if it quit one time frame at any moment here, I would just get out. After all of that, like everything's been redelivered. Looks pretty clean. We just came into that gap, redelivered it there, I think. Let's check, double check. Absolutely banger trade though, right? Like super good trade. Okay, so we redelivered to the low and that low, but we haven't actually filled the gap here. So with a trend really nasty with the one time framing, what I would do is like find a time frame it was, and then use that time frame. So it's like on the 5 minute, it's clearly been one time framing up the whole fucking way. So I'd probably revert back to using the 5 minute here. So even right there, it's still one time frame. There's no close below the previous candle's low. Boom. Huge trade. Just absolutely massive trade. Still one time framing. All right, there we finally get the end of one time frame. I'd be out right there. Unless I could see like on a lower time frame that there's a reason for it to come down there. But even then I would be like, eh. With it being such a big trade, it's right about reversal time for the day. So let's look at the original risk to reward on this trade. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy trade here. Easy $10,000 day. So you got the long entry at the end of one time framing there, stop below the low. So you're risking 18 points. It's a 29R trade, dude. Obviously, this pullback here sucks. So let's say it right there, because honestly, that pullback's a secondary trade, really. I don't want to like gaslight you guys to think it's something it's not. So even though it much cooler to have done that, but let's just keep it real. So it would have been 21R still. That's still fucking crazy. It's still a crazy trade. It's still crazy. Amazing. So you would have made, and then you got the really easy trade on ES there, the SIR entry. Super good. Super clean there. And this was while scaling out, so yeah, you would have made like 3,000 on ES, and then four was that last exit was 4K. Two, so it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 7,000 on Nasdaq. That's pretty crazy. on the smaller swing legs, I know people that just do 50% pullback entry, assuming a trend instead, if you know it will. Yeah, so I think for continuations, 50% is pretty normal. For reversal trades like the one on ES here, although the short trades, it's weird for some reason, like the short setups usually will retrace to 70-80%, but the long setups, because it's like V-shaped recovery type action, like they don't. I don't know why. It's just you get 50% most of the time, yeah. But even it's weird how it works like that. I'm not sure why that's the case. Yeah, absolutely banger trade on a Tuesday there that I absolutely fucked up. I ended up being able to bounce back on this reversal. I think the reversal happens here in a minute, or maybe it was that reversal right there that at 10:21. Spilled shit all over my fucking pants. Okay. So we finally redeliver, and now you got this balance area here that's coming into. The gap fill's still up there, though. Yeah, it's still up there, though. I would take this half back to balance on this here, though. They both overshot it with a little bit. It's just with the overshoot there, I don't know if I would have, honestly. Let's drop down and see if there's like a lower time frame balance area. Because that overshoot on both of them, that probably would have made me really hesitate. Yeah, I would take that one though, all day. Yeah, a little low time frame SIR setup inside of there too. And I'm not sure. It may still keep going up. I honestly don't remember. Yeah, there's the end of one time framing down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how they do it, man. Yeah, that's how they do it. They just call it. Oh, that's the normal setup. Yeah, it's like that every day. Douchebags. All right, so right here, this is you definitely have like a leg one, leg two situation, which that would make me nervous as well. But we'll see what happens here. I would take that trade though. Either way. I would definitely let's drop down. I'll show you what I'm saying. So as it came into that balance area though, probably would have got out if one time framing ended here. Yeah, I would definitely get out right there. I'm pretty sure this goes straight down if I remember right. No, never do. Beautiful end of day rally here, which is kind of, I don't know, I got this stat from Edgeful, so I don't know if it's actually correct or not. But according to Edgeful back in, they lie about their stats though, so I don't know how accurate it is. It was like something like 90% of days don't break the last hour. That creates like the last hour of the day creates a range that doesn't get broken 90% of the time in the last hour or something. But it could be absolutely wrong. So because they lie. So that would mean that this 3 p.m. high here that's created, yeah, which it's already broken. So yeah, that would mean that it wouldn't break this high here 80% time. But I don't believe anything that they put out. Because if you think about it, if you have a bunch of strategies that have you know, kind of like the guru expect, like the normal expected range 60 to 70%, even though that's great and like above average, but that's not the guru way, right? The guru is saying like 90 to 100% win rates. So if you're a company and you're putting out normal win rates, it's probably gonna be hard to get popularity. But if you go with the guru and just say every win rate's 90%, even have some that are 97, 98% strategies, tell everyone you found these edges that are incredible. And you kind of know that the average person isn't going to actually test anything. You can just make up whatever you fucking want. And that's what Edgeful definitely did. Pieces of shit. Just dirt bags. They're cheap dirt bags. Even that way at their affiliate program, just straight trash. Yeah, beautiful half back to balance there with the Kraken correlation. That's a SIR entry on ES right there. Here's your strong low break. And it could still go higher. Honestly, I don't remember. I think that it goes down at the end of the day like this, and then bam. Oh, I remember. I remember this. This day's got a weird end of day drift. Then ES spends the next pretty much. Um, maybe it's this day. Maybe it's not. Let's see. So that's your 4 p.m. candle there. Yeah, and then you have end of day drip down on Nasdaq here. But I shouldn't have entered there. I didn't trigger on ES here. There it goes. Yeah, it didn't really. I think it yielded maybe 20 points. Maybe the ES was Nasdaq's was okay at 20 points, but barely, kind of not really a win there. But that half back to balance trade on Nasdaq there on ES, not the half back balance, the SIR trade there on ES was fire. Yeah, I think so. That makes about sense to me. I would say way more than that, actually. On average, like nowadays, I mean, you're talking like one time framing move. Oh yeah, definitely. So there's your strong low break there. See if Nasdaq puts in a SIR setup here. There it is. Beautiful SIR setup there. And then this is that Tuesday. I think that's a spike area holds here. Maybe that was the day before. No, it was the day before. So then you have we traded this on, do you guys remember this? We traded this on stream. Yeah, there's your half back to balance entry there, exit there. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous setup there. Could have went in with full size contracts given it was the Asia session. V-shaped recovery type shit there. And there's the half back finally. Yeah, it's a beautiful trade there. Really, really clean. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it did, yeah. Yeah, so you had the high time frame cracking correlation. There was a couple SMC soups week this week that were super fire that I don't know where they're at. I think this might be one of them. Yeah, that was one of them right there. That moved down was the SMC soup. That was a banger. One support, turn resistance. I'd be out right there though. Looks like a V-shaped recovery. Strong high still intact, but yeah, there it goes. Redelivery is completed. Yeah, you could have held all that, but no, that's beautiful redelivery there. All right, let's look at that. There's a setup there that I like inside of the SMC soup there. That's actually really fire. So right here is a good example of market structure, like entering up the market structure. So we had this area down here that needed to be redelivered to. Yeah, this big ass balance area. So if you'd taken that SMC soup, exited then one time framing on like the 3 minute or whatever, like right there, and then right here, this is your last strong high. 10-minute balance area there. I think there's going to be a crack in correlation here to go with it. Yeah, there's your crack in correlation. ES just took out that high. And you got that low right there would be a really good short for ES there. I'm not sure if it gets there, but if it does, that would be super good. And then you have this, the balance area redelivery. You got one support flipping into resistance. You'd have to risk quite a bit on this setup here once it stops one time framing, because it could need to go half back on ES. I mean, on Nasdaq, you have to risk quite a bit, but you can get away with probably 10 micros during the Asia session. Maybe not that many, maybe like 5 or something. And then price needs to redeliver down here because it's super noticeable. Like price, there's an open loop here, which price, these are great targets here. Yeah, like that's if there's ever like an area that you could be like, that needs to be redelivered, that's like that's one that you can look at and be like, damn, that shit really needs to be redelivered. ES had already redelivered it earlier in the session though, so that's kind of interesting. But you still have these areas lower on ES, like down into here, that need to be redelivered. Yeah, really great example. It's something that a lot of traders forget about. It's just the basic as once resistance now becomes support. So if you have price came down, consolidates, and then moves up, doesn't make it back on the first pullback or whatever, doesn't get back down here. Like these areas make great areas to see price act as support. As you come down into there, not the one on usually not the one on the left, it's usually one on the right. Let's see if that did it on ES there. Yeah, maybe both of them. I'll put a line on both, but sometimes you'll see like it kind of will overshoot that high there and go to the secondary leg there. And then on the resistance side, like just like ES here, you had and then you have a drop, then you have another drop, consolidate. And then when it comes back down to here, or comes back up to here, these make great shorts. It's the most simplest, most old school way of trading that most people just seem to overlook. Like for some reason in trading, we think if it's complicated, it makes it better, but that's really not the case. A lot of times it's a keep it stupid simple that works the best. An edge is an edge. Doesn't matter. It takes you, if you ever look at 20 things, they're just one. And the edge is an edge. I don't think simplicity detracts any of its, like how well it's going to work. Well, it detracts it is how many people are trading it. Right now, all the simple strategies are being labeled as bad by like 5 million people. So we got the most popular retail trading strategy in the world telling everyone that the simple shit is bad. So it probably makes the simple shit really good. I mean, ES is just not about it here. Just like, and that's because it already had redelivered the half back of this level earlier. That you also have a later SIR entry on ES there. That's fire. ES put a lot of good SIR entries up this week. Right here's your strong low break. So you could have waited for this entry and then got in at the 80% retracement right there. Same entry price I had gotten there. And then your target would be this low, bam. So it's about like 2K right there, 2K trade right there. Man, it would just been hard to hold the target here because of that drop, the consolidation right here. And then you got the strong high taken out there. I definitely would not have been in this. Still holding this, but coming into the opening here. Man, that's a crazy broadening information there on ES. So you got this. This is what happens like about this time every day. You get a broad information forming. And you see it there. And then you have this big ass area here that needs to be redelivered. So in this situation, at the opening like this, Wednesday, I don't remember Wednesday, but I would look for something like redelivery and then up, or vice versa, redelivery and then down. But that was a really good short from up there. Very good. So we just had a strong low break right there. And there's the redelivery. There's the broad information on Nasdaq. I mean on ES. So you got a really, really high time frame kind of situation here. Beautiful setup there. That broad information high entry on Nasdaq, or I mean on ES there is super fire. I'm just looking for the half back here. And there it is. And this is also SMC soup short here on Nasdaq at the opening here. because now ES double topped right there. So you could have, I think we did. I'm having deja vu, but the days are all mixed together. I've done 90 New York opening sessions now, so they're all becoming blurred together. That's a lot of live trading there. Yeah, so right there you have that low time frame SIR set up here. Yeah, so right there, I don't know like how it's acting here, but I don't remember what happens either. I almost feel like this would be a good short entry here. See what happens here. I don't remember. I think maybe get no. There it goes. And then this would be a good target up here. That this would be probably the first target there. But trading to and fro easily there. Very clean. Oh, I forgot to exit on ES over there. Yes, a lot of good setups this week, guys. Like, a lot of good setups. So there's the redelivery there, right back to that low. It kind of came up short there though. It'll definitely scale out for sure. But we broke the Shanghai. But you know it's coded, right? So let's see what happens here. It's got to go up there. Because it's coded into the market, so you already know, right? Like that's what I like these kind of situations. Like it's something I'm trying to remind myself of. Like, we'll go there. I just need to have a little bit of faith. Yeah, it's a beautiful. This setup here is an SIR setup, so it's one that you could have probably sized into pretty heavy. Giving the redelivery half back to balance to the tick trade there, and then you had the SIR, so strong high break. Perfect 80% retracement and a redelivery, and you have the this balance area here. Right at the reversal time. It's absolutely amazing. Amazing setup here. Which got no heat on it really. Except for like one tiny wick there. And then boom, target hit. 7K on that trade right there. It's crazy. You would have had to pull the trigger into the redness though. Like it would have been coming down, you would have been like, fuck. And you just have to pull the trigger. But if with all the things lining up there, I would have had no issue with it. Especially if you look here, ES doesn't even retrace. ES barely retraced on that move there. It did nothing. It didn't even came back to this previous higher, flipped it again. So you have a flip trade back there, then you get a flip trade right here. Everyone overlooks this setup right here. It's so easy. Like it's I mean, just incredibly Easy setup to trade. You'd wait for that some good failure swing out. This one right here. Yeah, that's smart. I like that. Yeah. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's all the way around. Just really that failure swing's clean there too. Because it took out that it's actually a low time frame SIR trade because it took out that low time frame strong high right there by like a couple ticks. So I really like that. And then you have this 50% retracement. If you were still nervous about it for whatever reason, you could wait for that 50% retracement there. Let's see if it stops one time framing here. It keeps going. All right, out right there. Beautiful money. Huge trade. And then we have a massive cracking correlation here. Crazy one. Yeah, ES obviously trying to redeliver up here. I don't know if I would go short here though because of the ES blasting faces off. Yeah, I guess the little secondary entry there would have worked out. Yeah, so that half back to balance trade there, pretty decent. But again, I don't really like, I usually want to be done by then. A lot of good setups though. Like a lot. And then we finally get the redelivery down into here. I think that's a good end of day kind of trade right there. You get the very last from here to the very high. This is the last bullish kind of area that should hold the support. Anyway, it stops one time framing here. It's probably good to go. Yeah, it's a very low time frame SIR entry there. I can't remember what happens. It's a big 4 p.m. candle though. Yeah, it would have been a bit of chop sesh there. I got over cocky in this right here. I was really certain that it was gonna have another move down. In this Asia session, I like way over positioned and added into the trade way too aggressive. And I got stopped out there and blew a couple evals on that. And some V-shaped recovery type shit if I've ever seen it. So there's your strong high. So right here you have a cracking correlation. ES does not take out the session low. Previous session low, Nasdaq did. ES Redelivers into the high of this doji here, closing that little loop, redelivering. I think it might even be a balance here. Yeah, it's half back to balance there to the tick as well. So you got that big ass balance area, you got the cracking correlation, and then you get this strong high break right here. Nasdaq breaks it. You can look for that V-shaped recovery type shit. 50% retracement. That also redelivers here. And there's a fire entry right there. Put your stop at the half back here. Because it's only, you know, 9 points or whatever it is, it's can actually put some size on that bitch. And then one time frames up fucking beautifully. And then you have this balance area up here just chilling. Needs to redeliver too. Especially on ES, you can really see it. Like ES, it's like clear as fucking day. ES needs to redeliver up there. And then boom. Another fucking huge trade just right in front of our faces. There's so many good setups this week. I'd say it's probably, you know, one of the better weeks actually. When we look at the price action here. Yeah, I just didn't do that well for whatever reason. Yeah, Asia was really good, man. The price action, the candles are really big and not a lot of chop. Yeah. This is your last strong high, so it's probably likely to hold as resistance. So this would probably be a good short from here too. Trade it to and fro. So wait for it to stop one time frame in here. I'm not sure. I'm just saying, like, I'd probably want to short it once it stops one time framing. Yeah, so let's add another 20-yard trade. This one you couldn't size, and it didn't go half back to balance, so you'd have to go like half the size. Because it could still, right? So there it is. Obviously, that's too big of a L there. So you'd have to be out of that. Couldn't have stayed in it. Try it again. There's no cracking correlation. There's your cracking correlation. Very last balance area. It's a strong high break though. I don't know, this could keep going higher. I don't remember what happened to this Asia session. But with the cracking correlation there, I would take a shot at it for sure. What's this Wednesday night? savagery. So Nasdaq redelivers cleanly the whole fucking way, and you got ES over here chopping around like a fucking madman. Beautiful SIR entry right here on Nasdaq. So you got your strong low break, boom, cracking correlation. You got everything you need. And it's also an SIR entry on ES. So you got like a lot of reason to want to short this bitch. Look at that fucking move right there. That's so sick. And then finally you get the balance area. Half back is tapped into there. But not on ES, so it's a good example why it probably keeps going. Yeah, beautiful move there. That's a beautiful late night kind of entry there on ES. So you see if Nasdaq took out that low right here. If it did, half back to balance, I would flip long for a little trade. Scalp. Nasdaq takes out the low of the session. No, doesn't work. Get blasted on. And then now we're coming into the huge move down for the session. We got the Thursday down session there. So right here, you're testing a strong high. Like this is like where I'd want to be trying to short from. No, it broke it. That's so weird how it broke that strong high. It's interesting. This redelivery on ES is absolutely gorgeous here. A lot of setups on ES I'm noticing this week. Like there's quite a few. Yeah, I would take that on ES all day. Let me drop down there. Yeah, so right there you get your cracking correlation. One time framing ends right there. It may still go up. I don't. We'll see what happens here. I think it wicks down though. You get the SIR entry like right at the opening here. And you get stopped out apparently. So this is the, yeah, that's the this is that SMC soup here. So you get the Nasdaq takes out that high. I mean, ES takes out that high, Nasdaq does not. SMC soup. Or is it this one? I can't remember which one it is. No, it's on ES. I thought it was on Nasdaq. It's on ES. So there it is on ES. So ES took out this high right here. Nasdaq takes it out, redelivers into that last fucking possible doji in the whole fucking world. There's your strong low break right there. SIR entry. And what paired with the SMC soup trade. Yeah, so we caught this on stream, and this is I made like 16,000 in that competition account trading this move down. Yeah, it just cooks down for like a couple hours there. And then you get a really nice reversal. And there's your strong high break there. I think this is it. It might be wrong though. I think it actually goes way, way lower, right? You guys remember Thursday? I don't really remember much about it. Yeah, I think it's right here, maybe. One of these, because I caught this trade in the competition account. I think it's more like at the end of the day, maybe. So right there's your strong high break. There's your 50, but there it is. Yeah, this is it. It's your V-shaped recovery type, like just pretty crazy V-shaped recovery trade here. And there it is. So it actually gave you even like a just straight beautiful, just straight like 80% retracement off of that too. It's your strong high break, boom, boom. And then the redelivery here, if you look to the left on the lower time frame, it's pretty clean. I didn't trade Friday at all. and take any trades. I was so mad about fat fingering the funded account that I was just like, I'm not going to trade. So I think it's this very last doji here, if I remember correctly. And then you have the Kraken correlation. Yeah, because that's that Asia session. Yeah, so you got the higher time frame Kraken correlation. You got beautiful stair stepping here, 1, 2, 3. So this low into this low, beautiful stair stepping here into this low. So you have like these three kind of pushes down that create the stair stepping pattern. You can see that? It's pretty sick. And it's also backfilling. There's a down gap there that ends up backfilling like to the tick there. Yeah, like right there, backfills like that down gap there. So yeah, a lot of these kind of like this reversal here was pretty at the end of the day, reversal is pretty clean. Yeah, so it's another example of like just multiple things come together to create these like really fire setups. Like once you have the redelivery complete, Kraken correlation, SIR with it, then you like these like setups just keep like if you just were really just like disciplined and we're like I'm going to wait for you know 10-minute plus redelivery or gap fills that have a Kraken correlation with them, and then present me a low risk, high reward entry, aka the SIR. Like it's just so A plus that pretty much every setup that we went over tonight, that's what it is. That offer these really just amazing trades because they're so low risk, high reward. That's what makes them like so good is because of that. I think it's easy to forget that as traders, that's our goal, right? That's our goal is to get into low risk, high reward trades that give us asymmetry upside, meaning unlimited upside. Oh, goddamn. That's why it's important to trade with the right prop firm too, so you have that opportunity. Okay, and then Friday was a holiday, so I wouldn't even recommend trading it. Holiday day, early close, unless you're trading the opening. Let's look at the opening. We can see if there's a setup there. Gosh, there we go. And there's your 4 p.m. candle right there. Let's see if the end of day drift triggers here. nothing. Let's say Asia. I don't know, this is Thursday night. Yeah, Thursday night. Really clean balance area there. With a nice area that needs to be redelivered. What a savage move up there, Jesus. That's the SMC soup long there. So we could have taken this long here. And as soon as ES breaks that trend line there. Right there. Hey, that would have been so tough though. I would have got stopped out on that for sure. I would think to fade that pop there would probably pay. No. Savage overnight move. One time frame's up the whole fucking way on the 10-minute. Still one time frame. There it finally ends. Yeah, I don't think that would have been really hard to catch though, because that last leg on Nasdaq there. Now let's go to the opening now. That opening is very, very depressing, man. Is that the end of it? Yeah, no. Yeah, that was the end of it right there. Yeah, so nothing really happened. I'm sure a lot of people got blown up trying to trade that there because nothing really happened. That's always the worst. Yeah, so we should have a good. Hopefully, we have a good week this week. I don't see why not. We have a chance to leave the range here. I think for sure. We're in one of those weird patterns, which I'm going to be tracking this going forward. If you guys, I can see the pattern. Let me see if you can see it. Which we'll do the prep tomorrow. We'll do the get all prepped for the week ahead. So let me see if you guys can see what I see here. One of these weird ass patterns here for sure. I might try to even take a shot at that pattern there if it keeps doing it. Who knows how for long it's going to do it, but it ping pongs up there. Might not be a bad idea to try to short it based off the ping ponging there. Yeah, even ES has got the ping pong pattern there. Which I'm not, you guys know I'm not like a big pattern trader, but if it's super precise and like actually working, way different charts there. It's starting to look like it's going to go higher. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. And then if there's a 50% off for the VIP. So if you got a rebill coming up, you can use it on your rebill too. And then if you know someone that hasn't signed up, tell them to hit it up while it's 50% off for the next 24 hours. There's limited seats though, so I opened up 10 seats. I think 3 or 4 of them are already been filled, so there's only 5 or 6 left. So yeah, if you know somebody, let them know. Code is MMG for the discount. Alrighty, guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Yeah. So if you know anyone that wants to join, the link, I'll get it for you guys here. Yes, 50% off, which is really good. But there's limited seats, so I would definitely jump on it if you want to join. And I'll see you guys in the charts. Do you guys have any questions here on YouTube? Drive me nuts. No questions? Alrighty, guys. I'll catch you guys in the charts.